to Wine and Tea Wednesdays. I am Mim Senft, CEO of Global Women for Wellbeing, and we are delighted that you are with us today. I am here once again with Chris Andrews, GW4W London lead. So Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, thank you, Mim. And it's just Mim and I today that are hosting Viola. We are so excited to have this conversation with you. So let me introduce our guest today, Viola Edwards. She is actually in Cypress.
Yeah.
Is it nice and warm there?
It is lovely. It started being a little bit windy, refreshing, not hot, but still lovely. We're blessed to be here.
Fantastic. So what I want to say about this lovely Viola is that she is internationally awarded. She's the owner of 2 socially driven businesses, one of them being Grit, which is the Grit Academy, Grow, Resource, Inspire, and Transform. She's a professional trainer, and she's also into professional coaching and mentoring. Today, she's going to give us an international perspective. She has lived in so many different countries, and she's a woman that is thriving. I mean, just look at you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you so much for being our guest and welcome.
Thank you.
So let's start out with, as a leader and a very inspirational leader you are, with decades of experience, and it ranges over 40 decades, and you don't look at all your age.
That's what health and well-being does, right?
Exactly. Lots of self-care. You have lived, like I said, in many different cultures around the world and countries. So this has influenced your career. What do you feel is most lacking in creating healthier and a more inclusive world?
Yes. Well, lack of time, lack of vision, and also the confusion of what is stress, what is not, and the need of perfection, especially talking about women. It's like, did you see now when we were together, we were like all of us looking at the time, we're happy. It is like about a thing that we have to do it all well, on time, perfect, etc. So for a while now, I have trade perfection by excellence, and excellence is what is my best today with this level of consciousness and my resources today. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, and that, I think, it had helped me a lot in the latest year of my life. So I would say, when we start talking about I'm stressed, when many situations in reality they are not stressful, because remember, when we still have any control about the situation, is not the stress as we understand what stress is. Stress is a situation that we don't have control about it, and we will not going to start naming them here because we know many, especially in this time. But what about if you think that what is a creative tension and what is a stressful situation? And we can say that creative tension today for me was about finding the link, about finding, you remember that I write you in the last moment, where is the link? That was, no, it's still under my control. I could always call you. I even call me because I had different interviews today. I get, I get a little bit of confusion, but was that stressful? Actually not. It's still under our control. What that gave us is that we met 5 minutes before, we talked, and we solve it. And I think if you, just by making the differentiation between what is stress and what's creative tension, you can reduce your stress to half. And the other half, then you go into what can you influence and what you can't influence. I have to tell you about myself. I know you know, but I have a Lebanese mother. I lived in Lebanon for 8 years. I'm Venezuelan citizen. I was born in Iraq, and now I live in Cyprus, married an English man. imagine just these countries that I am so connected with and how many problems they have. My heart go with them, but can I influence in any way? What can I influence? So I go into what can I influence and not let myself be drawn by the pain of what's happening. And if I focus in what I can influence, and the thing that I can influence is what you do in your organization, which is my well-being, my mental and emotional well-being, my physical well-being, my time for sleep, my relation well-being, my community well-being. If that is set and is more or less balanced, then this person can go further and be able to help others, as I did some weeks ago, to organize a donation for Lebanon after the explosion and all they think. We can do as much as we can do, but it's very, very important, very extremely important to be aware of our well-being in the primordial stages.
That is, it's so interesting, isn't it? You know, with talking about what we need, it's well-being again, it's looking after ourselves. But is there something that you have seen as a common theme among women that's actually holding them back from thriving? I mean, you're thriving. So what is it that's holding people back, and what is that common theme?
Yes, women that I adore and love, women. There is, I think, there is two major things, in my opinion, as a psychotherapist. I've been in this field since 1993. And before that, I had 21 years in the corporate world, but my friends, especially older friends, said that I was their therapist. And they said, you were so much younger, but you were the one who would listen to us. I think women need to set boundaries earlier in her relationships. I think the fact that we confuse that our love and care and patience will change the situation, which will not, make us let go different red lights that are very important in a relationship. Here I'm talking about, of course, loving relationship, but also I'm talking in business relationship, doing a trip together or being in a network together. So I think from letting this red light pass, because we think, especially in the loving relationship, that we're gonna fix it. She gonna understand how much I love them, how much I care for them, and that's gonna shift. Actually, it will not. When you let go something which is sharping or violent or diminishing or belittling or ignoring, any of those things is gonna become bigger. So, and from there, when the women then wake up some years after, so some of them become very hard and the pain make them very hard. So I think sooner you set the boundaries, it's much better for everybody, because many times your companion doesn't know boundaries neither. So if you set boundaries, you are helping them to learn about boundaries. Yes. So much more to talk about this. And I think the other big issue is that need of perfection that make women get that think like they are hysterical or they are too much this or too much that. And many times women don't enjoy their success because they are looking at this thing that didn't work instead of looking at the whole thing that it worked.
You know, there's a couple things, Viola, that I think are really important that you brought up. And it's something that I've heard it referred to as superwoman syndrome, where, you know, to me, that's very close to this perfectionism idea, something that's superhuman beyond what, you know, we think is necessary. And that along with boundaries. And I think that there's, you know, because we talk to women at all different socioeconomic levels. So one of the things that one of our members brought up, she works a lot with women coming out of prison. And that really triggered my conversation with her, because she said the majority of women that she works with are women that couldn't say no to someone. It's not that they did the crime, but that they harbored somebody that did the crime, or they went along because they couldn't say no to that person. And so I think it's interesting. And then you also hear it at the top levels, right? You know, with women that are in senior executive positions, and you still hear the same kind of
stories about how they are put
stories,
down. Yes.
So I'd be curious through that lens, because I know you've seen so much. Does it show up differently? Do you think that they're like, for someone who is, again, maybe working in a factory, a shift worker, right? And the boundaries that they're able to set versus somebody that might be in a more senior position, are there differences? Are there similarities?
Yeah, depend of the trauma and the wound that they keep holding in their system. Sometimes I think when they are the workers in small houses and one house beside the other, maybe the neighbor will hear the scream of that woman when she's violated, and maybe when the house is bigger and bigger, nobody will hear that when the woman is violated. So especially also when higher the level of women, when she get violated physically or emotionally, especially physically, there is a shock that many women cannot believe that that's happening to them, and they are ashamed that happened to them. So they take long time to share it. So our call is please don't live your pain in loneliness. There is, in the past maybe you couldn't, but now there is no excuse for that. We are all here. Find one of us, share, and we will find a way how to support you, because they feel so shocked and they are very ashamed that that happened to them, and that give the other person more chance to violate them more and take more power in areas that they should not have. And of course many women will say, but she is such a great person, they are not bad people. Of course they are not bad people. You didn't live with totally bad people. The people who are totally bad, we can see them and we don't live with them. The drama is when people are mixed, when people are injured emotionally, and that part of them come out that will injure you, and that confuse you, because that person was very nice last night and today he's violating you. Yeah, that of course I understand they are not bad people, but you will not stay with all good people and expose yourself and your family. And if you set boundaries on time, there is a chance that that person can be safe too. There is a big chance that, so you're not doing it only for yourself, you will do it also for him or for her. Yeah, because then they will have a chance to understand what they're going to lose, what is the value, and what's the consequences of their action. But if you leave it and leave it and leave it, it's the habit get installed, and it's much more difficult to change.
Yeah, and I just want to say that and I think most of our viewers know this, that because we are in this pandemic right now, unfortunately, violence against women has increased substantially around the world. So I really appreciate, you bringing up that you are not alone. There are so many organizations around the world, including ours. Reach out. There are people here to support you. If you don't think you have someone that's strong enough to stand up for you, we're here. We are all here together. No one deserves to be in that kind of a situation. And I think it's just so important, to your point, don't get isolated.
Yes, and remember, if somebody is doing it for first time, or because of the level of stress that they are managing that is so high, and they know, if your partner know that you share with somebody, that's already a boundary setting. That person will think about it twice before, because remember, in violence there is a lot of isolation. So you really will help them more if you manage to share earlier. And
I was going to say, Viola, I think you said it absolutely beautifully, how you said, don't feel ashamed. And we shouldn't. We got to get the message out there to everyone. Don't feel ashamed. We're here. And this is what I loved what you said. We're here. We can sort it out together. And I think the quicker that's done, then you can move forward. And like you said, it's setting that boundaries to the person that's actually, violating. So I think it's beautiful. We can work it out together.
Yes, and also remember, like we talk a lot about loving relationship, but when when you don't heal boundaries, it can appear to you in other places. Like myself, in 2 years ago, I had a situation in a network, like violence. It was, and you get shocked, like that you can't believe that that's happening to you, but you need to wake up quickly, set boundaries. And even though you're going to lose a contract, you're going to lose an opportunity, whatever, you need to set boundaries and make your voice to be heard, and ask for support. Like in my case, I'm a psychotherapist, I'm a mentor. When that happened to me 3 years ago now, I went to therapy because it was violent. The way what that situation happened in a network with another woman, it was violence. So I needed to clear that from my system. I needed, because remember, if you're a mentor, if you're a counselor or a psychotherapist, you have a magnifier looking at the other person in all senses to be able to help. You cannot use that magnifier on you. So you need support. For that, mentoring is so important. I can call Mim or Chris in some moment and say, look, I need support. It's a situation that never happened to me before. We do peer mentoring, and peer coaching is magnificent. So in any area, don't leave it by yourself, because it will grow like a cyst that it was just a thing. It will grow and grow, and it will be on your way. Yes.
Well, and I just so appreciate that you shared that, because years ago, I had been in a really toxic relationship myself. And I was also going through a health issue and everything else. And you feel, when you have multiple things happen, which I think is really what's happening, unfortunately, to a lot of women right now, hearing a professional tell me, when we figured out what was wrong or what had happened to that person, why the other person was broken, she said, you can recognize that that person is broken, and that's good, but it doesn't give them the right to hurt you. And I think I needed to hear that in that moment, because, even, you can be strong and educated and all these things, but there are just cultural norms and the way you may have grown up that you may revert to things, especially if you're in a vulnerable position. So I so appreciate you saying how important it truly is to have a network around you, people who truly have your back and are there. And women in particular, I think there's far too much, I hate to say it, at least in the United States and some other places, this viewpoint that women don't support each other. And that has not been the case in my life.
No.
And
they do.
Well,
yes.
And I was going to say, it's like I have women that support me all over the world, because I came from the United States. I have my tribe from high school, from college, and then I have my tribe here in the UK, and then I have my wonderful GW4W network. It's all over, and it's so strong. So strong.
I personally get very offended when they say women don't support each other. And I think it's not my experience in life at all. I'm the daughter of a widow, and I have a sister, and I grew up in a household of 3 girls, 3 women. And maybe for that, I don't have issues. Personally, gender issue, I work for gender equity, but personally, because in my home, I remember, if I would be the one who worked hard that day, or smart, or whatever, I will be the one who's be served with a tray of food in the sofa, and the other 2 women will take care of me, and that role will be going to who need to support or who need to be spoiled. You didn't need to be ill to be spoiled. The way how our home function with our resources and who does what naturally as we grow up, because we were hit by a fatal situation that my dad died when he was so young and my mom was pregnant. And so that we make it, instead of stopping us from becoming, we migrate many times and we pass through different social situation and lacking situation, but how as a team we manage. And I think my sister and I, mom now passed away, but I think both of us, you could see how we create network. And like my sister, she one thing you ask her about herself, she said, I'm a resourceful person wherever I go. And she is. Like when she visits you, you don't want her never to go away, because she's that person who's resourceful. And I think this is what we need to create more, to be more aware about where are our quality, where are our resources, how we can serve the other one, but taking care of our well-being. And there is no more excuse about, she was violated, he was violated, therefore they do this. This is not an excuse.
Right.
You had a story in your life.
Yeah.
You had the duty. You have the duty
Yeah.
to heal, to restore, to make the stitches, to make whatever you need. And meanwhile, learn how to deal with other people. Because the fact that you were broken, you cannot keep going into life breaking everybody else, justifying, because then the chain will never change. So I think our generation, I think all this opening that we have now is to help people to heal, is to help myself to heal, my being an orphan or being a migrant, and not taking that loneliness all the time with myself, and see what are the other side that I can share, that I have. Or I can become a victim and say I don't belong because of the changes of the countries, etc. Or I can say I'm citizen of the globe and I belong everywhere. Okay, all the languages we speak have accent. It doesn't matter, but we communicate, don't we?
Yeah.
So it's about how to shift it. And this is where the Global Women for Wellbeing and many other organizations, we are here to support you, that you can make the shift and not get locked, not get stagnated in one emotion or one experience or two or three. We need to move in this spiral up.
Yeah.
And some of us will limp, and some of us, we have lost skin on the way, but we can still do a lot of things. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted, that is so important. And I want everybody to really take that in, because it's such wise words. I wanted to move on. I wanted to ask you, well, first of all, we know that the world is different. It has changed. And we don't know what it's going to be like in the future. And we have to adapt and we have to change. But given this uncertainty, what will be the most important thing that we focus on for our health and well-being? What do you feel that is?
Yeah. I think one is to be aware and conscious about where are your highest, where are your lowest. Yeah. And make the balance, to minimize your weaknesses and to maximize your resources. Yeah. So I think also you need a group around you, family group. You need somebody or a group that you trust, and you can ask for advice in different areas, so you don't get so dispersed in these, because there's so much offer nowadays. There's so many things. So you really need, like, again, coming back to this mentoring thing, because we have different mentors in different area of our life. Yes. So I think for us women, for everybody, but for us women, as I age, I understand more and more in my own body the importance of a good sleep. Like I was somebody for years, I slept 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, and I will be functioning. So the quality sleep, this is very important. Hydrating our body is very important. The quality of our thoughts. I'm blessed because I live now with my sister and my husband, and all of us, we're therapists and breath workers and mentors. So if I dare to say, oh, how stupid of me, I have a voice telling me, apologize to yourself, like, don't say that to yourself. I like, it's like an extension of my consciousness. So to have this kind of awareness of what quality of thought we have, and how to get, when I say positive, I don't mean not to be grounded and not to see the whole picture, but see the whole picture. And of course, go more and more to the areas that you love in your work. Some of us, we're very blessed that we do what we love in totally. Some of us, we're not there yet, but wherever you are, I'm 100% sure, because I worked so many years in corporate, and I'll tell you a secret. I am dyslexic. I suffer from dyscalculia. and I switch number and suffer a lot with number and structure. And I worked 10 years in insurance. Can you believe that? In the technical area. Like, how did I do that? Of course, I did it with a lot of pain and doubt about myself. But I remember in those years how I will spend a good part of my time with human resources, connecting with people, creating things for the company that I work with, enjoying other part of that job. That job was very painful for me to do. And I stayed there for so long because then I didn't know that people can work with things that they love. I thought, this is life, it's hard, this is what they pay us for. And you have to get better and better. And for that, I stayed 10 years there, 5 as a broker and 5 as an in an insurance company. But I also remember that not all was pain. It's the way how I managed those years. I still have friends from that time. Like one of my mentor is a consultant that I met then and there. How we become friends. How when I opened my own business, work with her. How she trained me as a consultant. So what I want to tell you, please, doesn't matter where you are in the world, what you're doing, where you're living. Look at that part of your journey that is positive, that is conscious, that is expanding. Hang on there until the change come. And if we can help you with the change, just call us, connect with us, whatever we can do to support you in your journey. But don't stay in the misery part. Go, dive, surf to the other part. This is what I will tell you. Yes.
That is so, so beautiful. And you just say it with that whole feeling of you've been there, and you've done it. And, and I think that's so beautiful. I wanted to ask you, because time is really rolling on already. We're already 27 minutes past the hour. I wanted to ask you, can you share 2 most important practical lessons that you have learned as a leader?
Yes. So I'm trained in a methodology called positive psychotherapy that was created in early 70s by Dr. Nosrat Peseshkian. This is one of my training. I have others. He said, there is 3 basic principles for well-being. One is positive is coming from positum. That means what is given, what is there. So be positive and honor what is there.
Yeah.
Second, be in balance. As soon as he said, be in balance, he said, life will take you out of balance, learn and go back to balance.
Very,
Don't dream that we're going to be. And the third principle, he say, is the principle of consultancy. Meaning, when life takes you out of balance, you have the positum, you have a lot of experience and knowledge to deal with it in a certain level. If what you know, it didn't help you fully, you need to go to external consultancy. That's the principle of consultancy. So the principle of positum, principle of balance, principle of consultancy. I learned that many, many years ago, many, many years ago. And in that sense, what I get is 2 major things. One, I heal being a victim. I'm not a victim anymore. That was the thing that really put me down for many years, even though I was talented, clever, bubbly, whatever, book girl. So that victimacy is what put me down, victimhood, and take me to recreate other situation of that. So healing that in my early 30s, mid 30s, finally, it was a big, big, big thing for me. And the other one is, even though I don't take it personal, and even though I know there is a lot of victims in the world, I set boundaries. I learn how to set boundaries. Doesn't matter who he is, doesn't matter who she is. I learned that through that, I have, preserve good relationship because of that. Because when you set boundaries on time, it's kind. Yeah. You will tell me, Viola, you told me this. Why did you mention that? I didn't mean that. And immediately you give me a chance to apologize. Or, when it's early stage, there is not accumulation, and always can be, it's like a sweet no and a firm yes. So I think through the years, I think for me, my my clarity come around mid-30s, because I was in a lot of trouble before that, including addictions and being lost, like very victimized, very hardworking, but a little bit lost in what I want and how can I. And I think having that clarity of being who I am and honoring who I am, and getting in connection of my bunch of resource that Dr. Pesekshian called depositum, what is given, what are my quality. I think that brings me back to life. And in that process, I had beautiful mentors and therapists and teachers. And this is, I could share that with you. Yes. So take care.
Yeah.
As a leader, you need to take care of your emotional well-being, physical well-being. And then you really, then you have the word wherever you decide to go, you will know how to continue, where to stop, with whom to choose. It's much more organic, the rhythm of life.
That is absolutely beautiful. And we are so proud to have you part of GW4W. And I'm sure all our viewers can sense and feel the kind of network we have. And I want to say thank you so much for your wonderful, wonderful, inspirational words today. It's really, really touched me. And I'm sure it's touched Mim as well. So thank you so much for being our guest today, Viola.
Yes, thank you. Enjoy
Invite you
hot
to
cocoa
raise
with
your
you.
glass too.
And
I'm
so
to good
thankful.
health, more sustainable and inclusive future. Okay.
Yes. And we could not let this occasion to pass without thanking our dearest friend Tina Alton, that was
Yes.
who introduced me to Mim in London in March. So much love to you.
Yeah.
And to Shaylee, much love to all.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
And next week and the week after, I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to have Mim and we'll have Deanne Johnson back. And I want to say we're going to have another GW4W member who is Kate Nolan. She's going to come on and co-host for the next couple of weeks. So I will miss everybody, but I will be back again. And next week, our guest is Sophie Medlin. She is a consultant dietitian and founder of City Dietitians, and she's on the chair of British Dietetic Association for London. She is going to be talking about eating behaviors when you're working from home, and
Very needed.
and touching on watching out really for those eating disorders, because we know that happens quite a bit as well. So we do have our young people coming to speak on a heart-to-heart, don't we, Mim?
So excited. So just to share, our youngest members are 15 and 16. And when we talk about mentoring and closing this gender gap, it's so important for us to listen to all voices, particularly those voices of the leaders that will take us forward. So I really encourage people to tune in for that conversation. Definitely. I think too often we ignore younger voices, but boy, in the past year, I've been so inspired by young people out saying we need change. And it gives me a lot of hope with all the tough news that we hear. And I'm here in the United States. I'm not going to go into how stressful it is here sometimes. But the hope comes from these younger voices. And the healthier, the more they're good at setting boundaries, all of these things that we're talking about now, they will create this amazing future for future generations. So we're excited to have their voices.
Very excited. So just quickly, if you have anything that you would like us to discuss and you heard today, we're here to support you. Please get on to our website, gw4w.org. If you have a topic as well that you'd like us to discuss, please do get in contact with us. And also we have our white paper that you can download from the website. And
I'll hold it up.
It is a fantastic read and very digestible to read and understand. So with that, until next week, we are going to raise our glass and say, remember,
great minds sip together. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There we go. Okay, we're off. Yay!